tonight, we have breaking news from L.A. Tomorrow's Lakers-Clippers game has been postponed, according to Adrian Wojnarowski. Much more on this story, of course. Now, the Lakers were scheduled to play this game. They haven't played since Saturday night when they were in Philly. The Clippers played last night in Orlando, and they beat the Magic. The league issuing this statement in the last hour, quote, the National Basketball Association game between the L.A. Lakers and the L.A. Clippers, scheduled for Tuesday, January 28th at Staples Center, has been postponed. The decision was made out of respect for the Lakers organization, which is deeply grieving the tragic loss of Lakers legend Kobe Bryant, his daughter Gianna, and 7 other people in a helicopter crash on Sunday. This game will be rescheduled at a later date.
As you see there, Kevin, the league did announce that news. To give us more context on what behind this decision, Adrian Wojnarowski, what more can you tell us about this?
Now, the Lakers had grief counselors on site today, and just the prospect of putting on a game, not just the players and coaches, but the entire operation it takes to put an NBA game on. The Lakers didn't feel ready to do that, to do it on Tuesday. The Clippers, the Lakers, the league discussed it. The Clippers had no objections to postponing the game. So now the Lakers will play again and play for the first time in the aftermath of Kobe Bryant's passing Friday night at home against the Portland Trail Blazers.
You're here to offer some of this context because I know on social media yesterday there was a lot of questions as to why those games weren't postponed yesterday. The images of these players playing, fighting through the emotions and tears as the news had just come down. Why didn't they postpone those games yesterday?
I was told that because it was happening in real time and the information was becoming available to the league, to the teams, and teams were already on the court in the midst of playing. There was no precedent in the league to cancel games. I think John F. Kennedy was the last time the league had done that based on the passing of someone. But the Lakers, with 2 days, 3 days now to process this, it was considered a different situation. It is their home game, and the league is obliging to their preference to not play this quickly.
Adrian Wojnarowski with the latest, the breaking news that at the top of the show here that the Clippers and Lakers game will be postponed that was scheduled for tomorrow, Kevin.
Plenty more reaction from around the league, El, coming in the next hour. Anthony Davis, Lakers star, posting this on Instagram saying, man, this is a tough one for me. You were the first guy to put me under your wing and show me the ins and outs of the league. Had so many great conversations about so many things, and I will cherish those moments forever. Love you forever, Bean. R.I.P. Gobi and R.I.P. Gigi. Ramona Shelburne is with us now live outside the Staples Center in downtown L.A. Ramona, what more can you tell us about this decision to postpone tomorrow night's Clippers-Lakers game?
Yeah, I think this has been in discussions since yesterday, as soon as the helicopter went down and everybody was understanding the gravity of the situation. I mean, it's unprecedented, right? The last time this happened in 2013 after the Boston Marathon bombings. The next night, the Celtics didn't play against the Indiana Pacers. Both teams actually just finished the year having played 81 games. It was actually a discussion amongst every team that played yesterday. The league was in touch with general managers and players from every team and said, what do you guys want to do? Do your players feel up to playing? That's the enormity of this. And, from what I understand, this was much more from the Lakers organization that, just picture this. These are people who've worked with Kobe Bryant for 20 years, who knew him well, who watched him grow from a boy to a man. Now to see his passing, they had grief counselors with the Lakers organization all day long. And to ask them to put on an event of this magnitude where the whole world would be watching, where a game would be played, it was just too much to ask of them. It's been stressed to me, though, this was not a player decision. This wasn't players saying, we can't get out there, we can't do this. This was about the Laker organization that is in deep mourning right now and grief, and just didn't feel up to putting on an event tomorrow night.
You mentioned deep mourning and grief. The Lakers have yet to put out a statement regarding Kobe. Yeah. Take us inside the organization in terms of what conversations are being had right now.
Yeah, well, the Lakers organization is taking their cues from Vanessa Bryant, Kobe's widow. And when this crash happened, Jeannie Buss, the owner of the Lakers, Linda Rambis, Rob Pelinka, they all drove to Orange County. They've been down in Orange County in constant communication and in touch with Vanessa Bryant as she and her family grieve process. I don't even know what words to put on this, but they want her to dictate how they proceed. And if you notice, there've been a lot of statements that have been put out. There've been a lot of organizations that have stepped into this and expressed grief and remorse. Not the Lakers yet, because Kobe was one of their family. And guys, I just heard this yesterday. I wanted to make sure it was true before I said it. Rob Pelinka, the general manager of the Lakers, he was the godfather of Gianna Bryant. I mean, he was as close to Kobe as a brother. I mean, they often referred to each other that way. So I think they're treating this as family, and I think we can all respect that.
Now that you've had more time to think about the loss of Kobe, you shared a great story on Woj's podcast today about covering him on the final night of his career and how months of work leading up to your story had changed after he scored 60 points. Ramona, what happened? What happened while you were trying to cover Kobe Bryant and then the last time we saw him play a basketball game inside that arena behind you?
I mean, it was months of writing and reporting, right? Like draft after draft after draft. We had a story that we thought was great, and a lot of that story was saying, like, come on, man, like the Black Mamba, the guy that we've known, the ruthless competitor, he would never be okay going out like waving at the fans with the 17-win Laker team. Like, I'm not buying this. And then he goes out and has this incredible night. Like, I almost don't even believe it that he scored 60 points on 50 shots. He never took 50 shots in an NBA game except for the last night of his career. And I texted him late into the night. We were going back and forth. I mean, he was flying home. I think he went to bed around 3:30, and he finally got up in the morning. I didn't sleep. I was like, oh, my God, I'm going to have to redo this whole story. And he kind of laughed at me. He was like, ha, you're going to have to redo it. And I said, what do you think I should do? Like, he goes, well, you got to take all the threads that you've been writing and then look at what happened in that last game and what one consistent theme can you draw from that last game to pull all those threads together. Keep it simple. And he goes, that last game was like my whole life. That last game, wow. Everything in my whole life was a part of it. And I'm like, look at this guy trying to tell me how to write this story.
In the end, he's coaching you.
He was. But I said to him, I go, so what did you do? Take me through everything you did afterwards. He said, well, I flew home with the girls. We stayed up eating pepperoni pizza and watching movies. They fell asleep. I went to bed around 3:30. He woke up at 7. He had already scripted this out, okay? And he went to church. And I said, you went to church? And I knew he was a religious guy, but he didn't talk about it all that much. And he goes, yeah, I just went there by myself. The girls were still asleep. And he goes, I just felt after 20 years, I wanted to say thank you. I wanted to be grateful for this blessed life that I had and this blessed career. And man, I read those words now, and he was talking about the end of his basketball career, but it feels especially poignant now. Knowing him and the life he led.
We are grateful for you opening up and sharing that story with us. I want to remind our audience also that 60-point game, that final game, you can watch it tonight on ESPN, 9 o'clock Eastern time. Ramona, thank you so much. More reaction coming in. One of Kobe's final tweets was a retweet from an Allen Iverson tweet. They were part of that 1996 draft class. Iverson went 1, Kobe went 13. Here's AI's statement. Words cannot express how I'm feeling today. The only two words that ring in my head, devastated and heartbroken. People will always remember how we competed against each other in the league. However, his generosity and respect for the game is something that I witnessed firsthand every time we stepped on the dance floor to compete. He will always have my respect as a competitor, as a friend, as a brother. My thoughts and prayers are with his wife, Vanessa, their children, and the families of all the victims of yesterday's tragedy. We are not okay, but we will find the strength to pull through this together because that's what Kobe would want us to do. Elle?
Kevin, more details emerging today about the crash. The pilot, Ara Zabayan, was Kobe Bryant's private helicopter pilot. Zabayan was certified to fly under special visual flight rules, which pilots use in worse than normal flight conditions, like the dense fog that blanketed Southern California Sunday morning. Here are some additional details concerning the crash that we now know. Audio recordings indicate the pilot, Zabayan, received guidance from controllers as he tried to navigate that heavy fog. The fog, in fact, was so dense that the LA Police Department had even grounded its own helicopters at the time. As of now, the National Transportation Safety Board and the FBI are on the site today investigating. Joining us now from Calabasas is Tom Yamas. And Tom, I know that you spoke to a witness who saw the helicopter in peril before the crash. What did he have to say?
El, good afternoon. Right. He basically described the moments right before the crash, and they were terrifying moments. And I actually have to tell you, one of the scariest things he told us was not that he saw the helicopter, because he couldn't see the helicopter. He could hear it, but that fog was so thick. Here's what he had to say.
How thick was that fog?
It was thick. Imagine, I've used this analogy today. Imagine jumping into a pool filled with milk and opening your eyes.
You can hear the helicopter and you can't see anything.
I can't see anything. Hearing the helicopter, all of a sudden the helicopter's immediately above me. I can hear it, but I can't see it.
Right. Now, Scott said, the fog was so thick, it was thick as milk. And we actually checked his cell phone. He ends up calling 911L at 9:46. He says 30 seconds after he heard a crash and what sounded like the fuselage coming apart. But when he calls 911, he thinks there's a crash, but again, he can't see it. He just tells him something horrible has happened in the canyon. El?
Tom, you just mentioned it. Much has been made of the conditions before he took off. Can you take us through the timeline of the helicopter leaving before the crash?